Zootopia 2 is the much anticipated sequel to the smash hit Zootopia. Zootopia is one of my favorite films of that year for sure. And this movie, it does something a little bit bold. It literally takes place immediately after the events of the first film. So there's no time skip. It's a week later. Judy's still sort of really amped up and wants to solve more cases since she now has a bit of fame. And Nick is able to be fast-tracked into a rookie police officer. However, instead of, being sent on cases, they're supposed to observe and report. And Judy and Nick, they sort of go on a mission a little bit too quick, and they end up making a huge mess of a simple case, which they're supposed to watch and observe and learn. And they are put on suspension of sorts, and Chief Bogo basically says, I'm not going to be able to allow you to be partners unless you can find a way to do the work, and sends them to a counseling sort of program in order to make them work, because they haven't actually worked in an official capacity as partners. So Nick is kind of passive in this movie, sort of just doesn't really care, and he's just sort of chilling, living the bachelor lifestyle like he usually does. However, Judy's really amped up to solve a new case, apparently, because after the events of the opening sequence, she suspects that a snake is infiltrated Zootopia, and snakes are forbidden because a couple hundred years ago, a snake killed someone, so they were banned from Zootopia. So they live about a week away on another continent, and a snake shows up and tries to steal the original journals of the patents of the weather walls. If you remember, in the first movie, Zootopia is made up of 4 sections because the walls are two-sided, and they work like an engineering miracle where they'll keep one side hot and one side cold. So all the polar creatures like Mr. Big's men can live in one area with other, cold animals that need the cold, and then there's like desert, and then there's jungle, and then there's like a normal one. So the inventor of that, he made a book, and the snake wants to steal it, and Judy and Nick get involved, framed for something, and then they have to go up against some villains and go on another adventure and solve the case or whatever. However, they're bickering. And I gotta say, I think this movie's a little bit underwhelming, not because of the animation or the character development. The story isn't just quite up to snuff, to be honest. The villains, they're there, and they don't have much of a villainous sort of origin. They're just villains because they've always been villains, and the villains stay on top, and the rich and corrupt stay on top, and they want to keep that status quo. And then on the other side, you've got the snake character. He's teaming up with one of the lynxes to sort of find equilibrium and find a way to clear his great-grandmother's name or something, and he doesn't have much motivation either besides, I want to get my family back into Zootopia. And, we've never met this family in flashbacks or anything, so it's very thin. Same goes for Nick and Judy. Besides the conflict of their investigation styles, they're just vaguely brought on by force because they're fugitives, and they have to go on an adventure too. There's some really great world building. I really like seeing all the different new towns and the new different parts of the city. They go to marshland. There's these water network things. There's some chase sequences here and there, and some interesting new characters like a funny beaver. But overall, it's just an okay movie. I mean, it's a very watchable sequel, but it's not like amazing in terms of story. I like the characters more than I like the story, to be honest. And overall, it's an enjoyable film, but it's not amazing. So Zootopia 2, I give it a 7 out of 10.